All right, well, we'll get started. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar entitled Technology in the Age of COVID, E-Commerce and Websites. My name is Victoria Marley, and I'm with the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce. Before we get started here, I just want to go over a couple housekeeping details. This is a webinar, so you won't have access to audio or video, but I do encourage you to put questions in the chat or Q&A bar. We'll be facilitating questions at the end and potentially even during the program, so please do send your questions our way. This webinar today is part of our Elevate Business HC series, and today's webinar is hosted by Bruce Nustad from the Minnesota Retailers Association and Marnie Ochs-Raleigh from Evolve Systems. Bruce joined the Minnesota Retailers Association as its staff president in September of 2012, bringing with him a strong background of working with the business community. Before joining the Retailers Association, he served as the Twin West Chamber of Commerce president and CEO. Bruce's experience also includes leadership positions with the Minnesota High Tech Association, American Collectors Association, Twin Cities North Chamber of Commerce, and the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce. And Marnie is the CEO of Evolve Systems, who also serves as the client champion and relationship manager. Marnie has evolved the company over the past 17 years to embrace technology advancements to provide superior services for clients. She leads with the understanding that a business and a website needs to reflect the company's mission, vision, and core values. Marnie conducts business with the priority that client interaction is led with integrity, innovation, and transparency to build lasting relationships. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Marnie and Bruce. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Victoria. Marnie will have we'll get the slides set up for us today. So it's so great to be here. Thanks for the invitation. We hope to deliver a really practical webinar for you today. I believe in strategy. I think you should have a good long-term, solid strategy relative to what e-commerce and your website looks like for your business or your organization. But today, I think we're going to talk about a lot of really practical things. The idea being we're in this moment today brought on by the pandemic and a downward turn in the economy. And hopefully we can give you a couple things through the next 45 minutes that you can take away with you and put into use today, tomorrow, next week, while you build your long-term strategy. So just great to be here today. I'll have Marnie introduce herself a little more, and then we'll come back to me.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Victoria. It's great to be here. And while you read my professional bio, I also wanted to share that I'm a wife of 30 years. I've got 4 beautiful adult children, 3 grandpers, and 8 backyard chickens. I'm also a 6th generation entrepreneur, the past president for NABO for the Minnesota chapter, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners. And I'm just fiercely passionate about helping our clients achieve their business goals. I'm incredibly proud and grateful for the team at Evolve Systems and the quick pivots that we've made for ourselves and our clients since COVID was introduced to our community. And I've witnessed each one of our team members really live and breathe that vision statement. And that is that we approach each day with passion. And it's our passion for people that drives us to make that positive difference. I think that today's topic is incredibly timely. So thank you so much for having us participate with your session. Bruce?
Thanks, Marnie. Marnie's got me beat in marriage by 10 years. Congratulations on that. That's fantastic. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. Bruce Nustad, little known fact is I was an extra in the movie Fargo, but the first time I saw it, I was sitting with my mother who was horrified by the movie, so I don't talk about it much. I'm also a little bit of a Star Wars fanatic, and quite frankly, believe it or not, I can't wait for the Mariah Carey Christmas special Friday night, 9 o'clock Central. Don't miss it. Anyway, a little bit about me. And again, we just really appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you today. Like Victoria said, feel free to pop some questions in the chat or observations or the Q&A as well. And again, we'll try to be really, really practical with our suggestions today. So I'm going to approach things from a retail perspective because I work with retailers, but I think the examples that I show and things that I go through, I think are easily translated into any other industry. Marnie's going to show us some case studies relative to some e-commerce platforms. But first, before we kind of get into things, we're going to give you just a little level set on where e-commerce is today. And Marnie's got some great slides and stats to share with us on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this forecast was actually created prior to a pandemic. So it's safe for all of us to assume that the numbers are going to be a lot higher for 2020. And as we enter this holiday shopping season, it's just 22 days away. We want to really encourage each one of the retailers and B2B businesses for that matter as well, just to prepare for that record-breaking online sales opportunities. So let's take a look at what these figures really mean. We're taking this chart that is in the trillions, and the source of this information is listed on the bottom of the slide. So it's the Business Insider Intelligence from the US Census Bureau. And if we take a look at the difference between the e-commerce and the in-store shopping, we can see that it is incredibly telling as to how we're going to be seeing this continue to increase. So down here, the E stands for those estimates. So as I shared, the slide was done prior. And we can tell that we're watching trends continually increase. So we've got trillions of dollars that are being spent. And I sincerely believe that if you have not determined how to transition some of your focus to online marketing efforts, whether you're a brick and mortar store or not, this right here should be extremely compelling for you. What we see here is that the e-commerce sales really are expected to explode. The Forrester Institute sees that online retail is growing at 18.5% just this year. So it's going to reach over 20% of the overall penetration for North America. We know that that stay-at-home shopping season with COVID being shut down again, unless you're able to go to either Home Depot or Walmart or Costco, is going to be a lot more challenging. So that brings a lot more online shopping and the delivery of those packages really, really close to home. Dynata is another industry leader in polling for those statistics, and they had discovered that nearly 2/3 out of 1,000 adult shoppers surveyed, that 62% of them are planning on using online shopping. So is your marketing still directing those consumers to your brick and mortar, or is it online? Do you have your own Amazon store? I mean, is there an opportunity for you to pick up additional sales that way? And more importantly, are you inviting your current clients to really experience what your brick and mortar location experiences, to have a similar experience online? And when you understand how your clients interact with your brand, those clients become very loyal customers. And we are all needing to make sure that we are embracing our current clients and that referral business, because new clients are harder to come by because we're in a completely different pattern of how we're interacting. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, and just put a capstone on what Marnie was saying there, just thinking about this past Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Sustainable Sunday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday, I mean, that whole weekend, we saw here in Minnesota a remarkable amount of commerce done electronically and over the phone and curbside. In fact, I think it's safe to say we saw a little bit of a downturn relative to people walking through the doors of stores this year, which is understandable and makes sense. So again, I think that just further puts in context, not only across the world or across the country, but right here in Minnesota and right here in Hennepin County, now's the time to have some good systems in place to make things a little easier for your customers, no matter who they might be or where they might be. So for the next 45 minutes, just to give you an idea, we're going to cover just what are some basics of a website. So again, today is really about sort of having something for everybody. So if you've got an e-commerce site right now, there's going to be some tips you pick up on integration. If you don't have a site that you're proud of right now, we're going to start out with just some basics of your website and what we think works just at a very fundamental level. And again, these are things you can put in practice this afternoon. And then we'll talk a little bit about kind of when you talk about e-commerce, you can't ignore social media because all of our customers, whether they're B2B or B2C, are on social media right now. So we'll talk a little bit about social media and some of the best practices there. And then Marnie will help us really drive through kind of some of the platforms that are available in e-commerce today, because quite frankly, I know for a lot of us, before we even decide how we're going to do it, we look for a platform and we try to think about, okay, how are we going to do it rather than how are we going to get the job done from a technology standpoint. So Marnie will give us a nice look at some case studies of some work that she has done, which highlights some platforms and some business models. And then she'll help us walk through some marketing integrations as well. But again, our whole goal today is to provide some practical tips. So let's actually start out on that basics of your website and just kind of start there with, what at the very, very least do your customers need or are they looking for? And I really think this is kind of Bruce Nustad's view on it, having looked at retailers for the past 8 or 9 years and kind of seeing what they've done and what works when you don't have a full e-commerce suite. So I think these are the 3 principles that you really have to think about. And even if you have a website today that you're pretty proud of, just make sure you're nailing these things. So first of all, retail in Minnesota is 2 things. It is visual and it's experiential. And right now, experiential is a little bit more difficult. We like to go to the North Loop, hit a restaurant, do some shopping. That experience is a little tougher today, which means you've really even got to bring more of your A game relative to showcasing your brands on your website and kind of what they look like and what they feel. And we'll look at a couple examples in a few minutes. But gosh, even if you just only put pictures of 1% of the products that you have online, that's super helpful. And then secondarily, have some really quick way for your customers to reach you. I always joke when people complained about kind of getting beat by 2-day delivery, I always joked and said there's always something that beats 2-day delivery, and that's instant gratification. And so in the retail sphere, that instant gratification is actually being able to actually call a store or hit a store's website, ordering a product and actually picking it up in 2 hours instead of getting it in 2 days. So that second tip of just have a great way for your customers to reach you is really important. And we'll talk about a few of those ways in just a minute. And then of course, where to find you. You would be surprised how many websites miss that key portion of, gosh, where is the store or where is the business? So have for sure those 3 things. Then we'll talk a little bit later about a bonus, and that is have some way to pay. So Marnie, just quick back one screen there. This is Grand Jeté. This is a dance store on Grand Avenue, single store. Ruthina Frink, great owner. What I love about her site, and I'll post the URL in the chat right now so you can take a look at it either right now or on your own whenever. What I love about the site is it sort of hits all of those things that I just mentioned about. It doesn't sell. You don't buy from Ruthina's store, but you get everything you need. I love that she put her email address and her phone number right up top. Actually, consumers actually still love to call stores, believe it or not. So a phone number and an ability to answer that phone. I like in her banner that she's got her latest sale or product showcasing there. I love her 3rd layer down there. The consumer is naturally drawn to the monthly coupon, by the way. We've got a whole presentation on how much consumers in Minnesota love deals. But she's got her monthly coupon right there. And so she's got this great, very visual site, which really, really gets the job done. So if you're struggling with just kind of what should a basic site look like, Grand Jeté is a great spot to look at. And then on the next screen, I'm going to show you, Ruthina does a nice job tying her website back to her Facebook as well. So this is a simple Facebook post that she had. You can see actually visually, it sort of ties back to the site, reinforces some of the things that she's got going on. So this is just a great way, a very simple way to have a quality website tied into a nice social media stream where you keep things kind of nice and buttoned up. On the next screen, there's a company out of Plymouth called The Foursome, and another great business that's been around for a number of years. What I like about The Foursome is they've sort of taken the Grand Jeté model and they've popped it up a next step to what does e-commerce site look like. And so again, what I love about this site is it's a showcase of their products. Things look and feel very comfortable to the consumer. Their hours are easily visible. It all just kind of works nicely together. But the thing that I really love about this site, look on the lower right. There's a little button that says contact us. Let's just take a really quick pause. Make sure our technology is working fine here.
Is that what you're after?
Okay, no, let's just, nope, somebody in the chat said they were having a hard time seeing the screen, but I think we're okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so back to the chat now, contact us down there. That used to be a really expensive feature on a website. And now there are a number of providers where you can get that for free. On our own website here at the retailers, we use Olark, O-L-A-R-K. There's a free version. I suspect that's what they're using right there as well. And again, that's a pretty simple install on a website. And anecdotally for us here at the retailers, we get more communication through that button on the front of our website than we do through phone, email, or anything else. Because somebody goes to your site and they just are naturally drawn to that. You click on that, you can see a nice, easy to fill out form. We're all sort of getting used to chats online. Ours, we actually never answer real time. It actually just fires off an email to a special box that pops up on our phone. So there's a lot of really simple, inexpensive technology that can be used today. And we really love that contact us type button. So again, telephone is great, and email, as long as you're answering it in 5 minutes, and the chat type button, those are all really, really great tools on a very kind of basic, get it done, consumer friendly kind of website. All right, and then again, back to kind of tie-ins to other social media. Here's their tie-in out to Facebook. And here's what I love. That's actually somebody else, the spouse of somebody, one of the owners, that took their post and shared it and said, hey, look at this and say hi to my wife. That's perfect for getting some nice viral spread, by the way. But again, just a nice tie between a social media element back to the website, using the same graphics so you don't have to go through too much work. And then let's talk through just briefly here some of the other options. So we just talked about Facebook, Twitter. We'll talk about Instagram and Pinterest. The thing I love about Facebook is Facebook gives you a lot of options. You can do promotions, advertisements. You can do Facebook Live. My favorite thing that happens right now in stores is FaceTime. So we have a lot of retailers that have taken out a free account like Calendly. There's a lot of free calendaring accounts where you can set up an opportunity for somebody to make an appointment with you or your team. And then they make those appointments and they do them via FaceTime. So somebody can walk through the store, show products, and the consumer can go, yeah, I'd like that. Do you have that in blue? Do you have it in medium? So again, that is a completely free way end to end to approach appointments if you're thinking about that. So just there's a lot of great tools within Facebook. In fact, let's look at one on the next screen. In fact, I think Sherry from Serenity Gifts is on the webinar right now. Sherry does a fantastic job. She's out of Worthington. Does, in my mind, a fantastic job using Facebook relative to her business. So, you know, most of us think, okay, well, Facebook, I can have a page on there. What will it really look like? Sherry's got a great example, and I should try to share her. I'm going to share her Facebook page into the chat right now so you can have that and take a look at it. Sherry just really, really does it right relative to how your Facebook page can look on Facebook. What I love what Sherry's done is she's taken the Facebook Messenger component of it. You'll see it on the right-hand side there. And she's integrated that too. So it pops up when you hit her Facebook page. And she's got some preset things you can already click on that are your kind of common customer inquiries. And I'm assuming she gets that Facebook, it pops up on her phone and she can answer it instantaneously in her shop. Really, really cool. The next page will show another neat thing that Sherry does. I've seen it probably, and I've probably been Facebook friends with Sherry for maybe a year and a half. I think I've seen it 7 or 8 times where she just goes live on Facebook with her phone. So on her page, scroll down, there's actually a couple really cute ones where I believe it's probably her son is showing off some apparel in the store. But this is one where she basically walked around the store and said, hey, you know what, take a look at what I've got in store. And what's great is you might not have 100 people watching that at the moment online, but what you get is that stored on your Facebook feed then. So you can direct people back to it, or they can go and play it anytime. Like I said, this was a November 4th post, if I remember right, still housed on Sherry's website. Does a really good job. So kudos to you, Sherry, on just doing a great job with Facebook. It really becomes like a mini website for the business. A quick Instagram show. This is Jackson Gray in the North Loop. Jackson Gray has just really mastered Instagram. Now, they don't sell anything on Instagram, but they give you everything you need to buy that product. They give you a great shot of somebody wearing the product, a nice logo of the brand with it. They give you a description of it, and they tell you how much it costs. It's like so simple and straightforward. They post that to their Instagram. They drive traffic to their store. It's just a really, really solid way to do it. And I'm not sure, Michael may be on other formats there. He may be on Facebook. He may be on Twitter. I'm not sure. I see him on Instagram. And it's just, that's a real solid impact relative to how they use Instagram. The next one there is just an example. I told you in the intro that I'm into Star Wars, and about 3 hours later, after I put that in a slide, this popped up on my Twitter feed. So clearly Twitter is doing a great job on its promotions, because I got the Star Wars thing after I just mentioned it. But Twitter ads, Twitter promos are really effective too. Most people actually don't transact business, quite frankly, on their social media platforms. They drive business to either their website and their web store, or to a phone number to call, etc. But Twitter is pretty effective along those lines too. Okay, so now we've talked a little bit about kind of the basics of a website. I'll look at some of the social media tie-in. I know we didn't talk much about Pinterest. Pinterest is a great tool, especially for those of you in the arts and crafts area, not to be overlooked. I don't have a great example there today, but Pinterest is another great option as well. But so now we've talked about sort of like basics of websites and some of the social media tools that you can use and what that might look like. Marty's going to walk us through some of the kind of benefits and drawbacks of going kind of on the full e-commerce side.
Yeah, absolutely. No, those were some really great examples, and I appreciate you touching on those. Like you had mentioned, Pinterest is really all about the individual or unique needs. And, I love the fact that you pointed out that you don't have to be on every single one. And there certainly is a lot of reports on the demographics of each different social platform. So identifying who your ideal audience is and knowing where they hang out at and making sure that you're there with them is really key to getting that connection. We take a look at really what is that future of retail, and that traditional brick and mortar store. Now it's even more important to expand that digital footprint. And so I wanted to go through and talk a little bit about the benefits and drawbacks of it, because it is a major change and it also takes a lot of time. So it has to be thought out. That business strategy aspects need to be put into play prior to just jumping in and doing something. So really it's about that, migrating those online sales. And, another benefit is it can be lowering some of the employee costs, because if you're getting the additional sales that are coming in and the traffic to the site from digital marketing, you may not need to have as many salespeople on the floor. With the purchase aspect through an e-commerce site, you're able to track those customers. You can see where they're coming in from. You can also track to see where the links are coming from, so that you know whether or not the content that you're creating or the paid ads that you're doing is driving that business that you're needing. Benefits for it are also order management. And you're able to do remarketing efforts. So remarketing, Bruce, you pointed out a couple of examples with the information that you shared on how is it that you can remarket, and what additional things are you able to do for people that are coming back to your site. You are able to lower overhead costs with this, and streamlining those product searches and being able to add the additional product features. So a customer purchased product A and other clients also purchased product B, C, and D that went along with that. You're able to offer product comparisons, and that comparison can either be with a price point or a color or a size. And then enhanced customer service. You touch base on having that chat button. That online experience does need to have that real-time access to your customers, and for your customers to be reaching you. You can personalize that shopping experience. And I love that example that you showed with doing a FaceTime or a real-time video. Those are a lot of fun to watch. And then always tying those shopping carts into your social media. So I think you showed us some really great examples of how that can be done too. People often ask us, well, what's some of the drawbacks? I mean, it is a big difference in your business plan. Shipping costs are always a fun thing to try to figure out. Is it flat shipping? Is it real-time shipping? Is it a delivery service? And then understanding the nexus points with different sales tax issues. And is your product taxable in your state, or is it taxable in other states? And determining that nexus point. There's a lot of information that went on with the Wayfair Act out of South Dakota a few years ago. And we know that this is something that is being paid attention to when the sales and use tax audits may come. There's different privacy considerations. We're watching some of the changes that are happening in California and some of the other states that they're not wanting that data to be tracked. And now you're noticing on several websites that there's an acceptance that cookies are being used, meaning that your information is being tracked. We have the Amazon effect. It's like, well, where else can I get it cheaper? So understanding what that right price point is and providing coupons, or being able to do different price points for different levels of clients is always important. And then really being dependent on that website upkeep. If you've got products that are coming and going quickly, it does take time to be able to manage and take pictures that really depict the quality of the product or service, and being able to manage that on the website so that it does look enticing. And then we have the fun managing inventory. There's nothing worse than selling a product online that is no longer available. So those are just some of the drawbacks, but if you put in that right strategic plan, you should be able to manage those. E-commerce is not just for retail. I like to include this slide for business owners to understand that the journey of the experience on a website is anywhere from those consumable goods to products or to services. And we see and do quite a bit of work for clients that are in the B2B space, whether they're selling the products or services. So each one of these different client journeys really needs to be taken into consideration so that the UX, UI, which stands for that user interface of the website, is really easy for your site visitor to understand the journey of finding what it is that they're looking for on your site. Use the old rule that you have, 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention, that still really does stand true today. So making sure that your website is loading quickly is very important. We understand that there's a lot of different options that are available. Some are free, some you have to pay for, and it really makes sense to understand what the different options are. So I listed just a few here, and there's a lot of additional ones that we can talk about, but this is a really great way to be able to get informed as to options that you have. Both Ecwid and WooCommerce is an e-commerce platform that can be added onto an existing website. Some of them have hosting that is included, and then some has additional hosting that would need to be taken care of for that. So it's very easy to add Ecwid to that existing website, but the great part about that is they have a pricing point that if you've got 10 or under products, that the hosting itself is free. So the program is free. So it's great to be able to just dip your toe in the water and see if this is something that's going to work. The other piece that I love about Ecwid is that they do have a few additional benefits that will tie into your social media so that you can be selling on Facebook via the Ecwid program. So like I said, it's easy to put together. The instructions on using it are very simple to work with, and they provide some nice customer service. WooCommerce is a platform that WordPress has put together that is an additional module that can be added on. And WooCommerce can be anywhere from just a couple products all the way up to hundreds and thousands of products. So it can expand quite nicely. The other option that I wanted to point out here is a program that's called Shopify. And Shopify itself is a SaaS program. So the hosting itself and the website itself is on the Shopify program. The benefit that you have with that is if there's any type of enhancements that they're making to the core of the software, that will automatically happen for your particular website. The benefit of Shopify is that it really is a product forward opportunity, meaning you want to use a Shopify website if your main goal for having that web presence is to have an online shopping experience. The other two that we talked about, Ecwid and WooCommerce, is the more of an experience opportunity where you're talking more about the company and it's more of a relationship piece, whereas Shopify, you really want to focus in on those are product forward. Somebody comes to your website knowing that that's exactly what they're going to do. And Shopify has a variety of different themes or templates that can be customized to your own graphic or branding needs. And it is relatively easy to be able to modify and to be able to work with. So we've got clients that are on all of those different platforms for a variety of reasons. And then we also have clients that their needs are much larger and they're needing to have fully developed custom websites. The last one here is that Pay Now button. And we have seen this being added quite a bit over the last 10 months, where business owners understand that it is critical to be able to provide additional options besides just mailing a traditional check through the mail in order to pay an account. And so we've been adding Pay Now buttons on websites, and I'll show you an example of one of those in just a minute here. But being able to offer this and add it onto a website is relatively simple, and it ties into your merchant card processing account. And we have even done Pay Now buttons for ACH options. So again, making it easy for people who may not be going into their office or their traditional brick and mortar store to be able to get you those funds. Here's some case studies on how each one of those platforms have been used. Now, this is a local company. They're over in St. Paul, and they really do focus in on the B2B environment. However, they will get quite a bit of walk-in traffic for their local store. They now have 4 different locations throughout the Midwest, and their plans are to continue to be expanding that. Their website is built off of WordPress, and what their main focus is about education for their products. And so they are continuing to add additional videos and training products, as well as other products that they are wanting to promote. We added the simple Ecwid program to their website because initially they wanted to have just 5 or 6 products. Now we're in the process of helping them expand so that their website experience is going to continue to be very customer focused, as well as building out those additional products. What they have found is that it's extremely important for their clients who would be construction workers to be able to have that mobile experience so that when they're on a job site, they're able to very quickly and easily find the products that they're needing. And it's normally blades for cutting concrete that they can order those up, and then they can either have them delivered or they can stop by and be picking it up. Another great example is Shopify. So we talked about Shopify being more product forward. This particular project is for a veteran that is living up in Alaska, and his passion is really about taking portraits and images. And so he has a national reach, and he's able to sell different versions of his prints, and then also tell the story of his life and how he's decided to live a little bit more of a secluded life, but yet capture these incredible pictures and share them with people. So you can purchase his prints on either cards or canvas prints, calendars. In fact, we've used his services for Christmas cards in the past. And this project is a part of our Wounded Warrior commitment, and we just love working with Brian. He's been fantastic for us. Here is a great example of a Pay Now button that we talked about. And this is a company that is located just here in St. Paul, and they wanted to make it very easy for their tenants to be able to make a lease payment. Each one of their different buildings is classified out, and it's easy to be able to go through and submit that payment. So their website itself is strictly for information, but hidden within a link is an opportunity for them to be able to pay online. Their tenants enjoy this because they're able to capture those additional points for their personal vacations. We're able to do the ACH payments so that they're able to get real-time money, and it has increased their cash flow. And so it's much easier for them to be able to do their bookkeeping. This has been a tremendous add for them with the way that we're all having to work remotely now. The next one here is Granola Company. So Angie is just a fantastic person, and she's very active within the community. If you have not tried the Gustola granola brand, I suggest that you do so. This is the Shopify site. You can also purchase the products in a variety of different locations and grocery stores. Initially, she started out her product as a thank you gift to teachers and neighbors. She was looking for a way to be able to create a great product that her family would enjoy. And then it just slowly started to grow. And pretty soon she was doing farmers markets, and then she was going into some of the co-ops. And now she has the goal that her product is being sold in every state. So this is a great way to be able to showcase a fun product and then communicate with the clients, but then also make it really easy for somebody to order online. This is another example of a program that we put together for a B2B company. They had an existing WordPress website when they came to us, and they're doing repairs on all of the playground equipment. And so many times they would receive phone calls from facility managers or custodians where a swing from one of the swing sets may have received some damage. And rather than having these specific products be handled with individual phone calls, we created this as an addition to their existing website. So it's very easy for somebody to be able to log on and order. And with all of us having a flexible work schedule, this has helped them be able to capture additional business because we're all working at different hours. So not only does the website continue to sell what their key differentiators are against their competition, it also gives them the opportunity to sell just a few of the products that are more common for them. When we talk about websites, we really have to take into consideration the security. And I know that this is a concern for everybody, so I wanted to make sure to address just a few of these bullet points. Again, when you're working with a SaaS program like the Shopify, a lot of these considerations are built into what the monthly fees and the hosting expenses are that you have to pay. But when you're working with a product that you're able to do some real customization pieces, every business owner needs to be aware of that. And that is that SSL certificate, which stands for the Secure Socket Layer. So you can tell that there's an SSL that is on a website when you enter a new website, and in the browser, you'll see that it goes from HTTP to the HTTPS. That S stands for that Secure Socket Layer. We want to make sure that there is payment protection, and the PCI compliance, or that payment card industry, is what is regulating the level of assurance that people have that their technology is being maintained. If somebody is not maintaining that technology, there are different malware or different attacks that can happen within the website where confidential information can be stolen. We know that China and Russia, I think they specifically have people on the payroll that are doing that. But if you follow the guidelines and the PCI requirements and having your website scanned, this does assist in making sure that you're able to stay compliant. We touched base on the GDPR, or that General Data Protection. This is coming out of with the CCPA from California, and that is, what is it that you're doing with the data from the people that are coming to your website? So making sure that you've got your privacy policies on your website is part of what the requirements are. And ironically, when you are getting ranked by Google in your search engine optimization, having these key components on your website actually is a part of the organic pieces that will rank you higher. And then, of course, you always need to have your return and refund policies online. And in order to get a merchant account for these types of e-commerce platforms, that is part of the requirement before they'll even issue you an account. We talked about the marketing integration piece earlier, and there are a lot of different options that you can add. So a landing page is a page that could be hidden within the website, but it is specifically tied to either an ad or a coupon, so that when somebody clicks on that ad and coupon, it goes directly to that landing page that has the specific information on it that will then help with the conversion of the sale. And it's really having that right CTA, that the call to action on those landing pages to get that conversion for the additional sale. We have a lot of social media integration pieces where websites are wanting to have their social media channels that are flowing through their website so that people are able to have a better interaction with your brand. We do quite a bit of pay-per-click. So if there's a specific product that you're wanting to sell or a type of service, that those ads are created and then generated towards that ideal audience, so that when they do come to your website, maybe they're hitting that landing page, maybe they're hitting the main website page within the program, that helps to do that conversion. We've talked a little bit about Google Ads, and then also what those customer relationship management integration pieces are. And that really is a topic in and of itself. Having a CRM that you're able to capture people who are coming to your website and then being able to remarket to them is quite important, and it will allow you to expand what your current sales are, because we know that people will come and do shopping and then they may leave, and we don't know why they may leave. And there's other things that you can add into e-commerce pieces too, such as like cart abandonment. So if you see that somebody's built out their shopping cart and they have a lot of different products that are in there, and you're like, come on, hit submit, I want to get the sale. There's different programs that you can tie into those abandoned carts that will send email reminders, or 3 to 5 days later it'll send here's a 10% off coupon. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get people to be coming back to your website and engaging with your brand. Seth Godin, he's known as like the grandfather of marketing and digital marketing. He says that, marketing is no longer about the stuff you make, but it's about the stories you tell. And that is so key to make sure that you've got that right content that is on your website that is speaking to your ideal audience. So within closing here, we need to make sure that you've got that clear vision for the website, and that what the products are that you're putting online really do align with where you're wanting your business to grow. So if you can't add e-commerce right now, then just start reimagining what your current website looks like and consider that as your media channel. Focus on SEO, that organic SEO, to get more people aware of your brand, tell better stories, and provide that customer service experience with them.
Thanks a ton, Marnie. And just doubling back to a couple of things that you just said, I just want to mention landing pages again. That's another really just great way. In fact, I've seen the Minneapolis Chamber do it a ton. In fact, for this webinar, right? You went to mplschamber.com/technology and you hit the landing page for this event. Those are just great ways to get people engaged. The easier you can make it for people to get to the info they want to instead of 3 clicks away makes a big difference. So definitely want to encourage folks to think about that. And then the other thing you said, Marnie, what I thought was really important, when we talk to retailers, they get overwhelmed by the idea of I've got 600 SKUs in my store. How can I possibly launch an e-commerce website? Yeah. And our response to that is always, take your most popular 10. Start with 10 or 15 or 20 or 2. Or, start with something. Don't feel like you have to go 100% all in right away. Dip your toe in the water, but focus on your most popular products. Back to Serenity in Worthington. I've seen Sherry advertise Melissa and Doug puzzles many times, and it's because I'm sure it's because they're popular and people want those. So it gives them that experience. So think about your e-commerce too as a step in terms of how many products do you really put online. And what's your first step there? And then, Marnie, I just loved your point on a lot of these tools that are available to you and that Marnie can help out with. Those tie back to social media, so you do get that direct link from your Twitter post back to your e-commerce system, again, making it really easy for customers. So my closing thought is, and I know we've got a few questions we can go to, but I just want to encourage everybody, no matter if you're a retailer or not a retailer, just think of yourself as if you're your customer, which I know is really hard to do. I mean, the biggest things I screw up in my job is when I assume that everybody else thinks about what I do as much as I do and understands things the way I do. And that's just simply not the case, right? So think about things as if you're your own customer, and think of it as like, I want that person to be my best customer. What are they going to expect? And in my mind, you ask yourself 3 simple questions. What can I easily do on my own today? So what can I take from today's presentation, and what can I put in practice today that I can easily do that I know will make it just a little better for my customer? And then, of course, what can I do in the shorter term? So I'm thinking about landing pages. I'm thinking about an e-commerce website. I'm thinking about selling on Facebook. What can I do in the short term? And most importantly, of course, where am I going in the long term? But what do I need help with? It's just like, as much fun as it, like, I know retailers, they love to try to figure this stuff out all on their own. Find somebody who can help to find somebody like Marnie. I know the Elevate Business Hennepin County program has some great technical advisors. There's just a lot of places you can go for help right now. Find somebody who can lend a hand and help you kind of get through things sooner rather than later. But my big encouragement is just try something. Figure out what your customer wants. Try that today, try that tomorrow. So Victoria, I think we got a few questions queued up.
Yes. Matt Perry is wondering some examples of CRMs.
Sure, absolutely. There are enterprise level CRMs that would be like Salesforce. The next level down would be either like a HubSpot, or we're a SharpSpring certified reseller. And so we help our clients out with CRM programs. And then MailChimp, that is a typically known as like an emailing program. This last year, they introduced a really great free CRM to be able to kind of, like Bruce had said, dip your toe in the water. And that works out quite nice. And there's just a whole plethora of them. I think the key thing when you're making a decision as to like what CRM that you're wanting to work with is what tools are available with the current technologies that you are utilizing. Because you want a lot of these systems to be able to talk with one another so that you're not doing any type of duplicate data entry. And it's real important to take a look at the ease of use and then the scalability of it, because what we buy for what we're needing right now may not be how we're growing our business and where our vision is and where we see ourselves in a few years. So it's great to be able to start with something super easy, but take a look at how that pricing structure works as you continue to grow. So I know that there's some programs out there that they'll say, oh, you have a free opportunity here, but then as soon as you start using it, those prices can add up real quickly versus taking a look at what a true system looks like just out of the box. So we're happy to go through and talk with clients about that. In fact, we recommend quite a few different types of CRMs based on what the client's needs are and what the ultimate goals are.
And Marnie, great point on, like, I know of a retailer that for the longest time, their CRM was a index box at their front counter with their customer in it. And somebody would come in and they'd write down, what the customer bought. And that's not a bad way to do it, but I think the next evolution there was an Excel spreadsheet. And then the next evolution was actually, you mentioned HubSpot, which actually talked to their point of sale system, which they didn't even know when they bought the point of sale. But it's like, try to marry up your technologies as much as you can. And Matt, just thinking about the work that you do, I mean, I'm sure you're thinking about your members, but the work that you do, I know we've tried out a bunch and we've just found some great products out there, and be happy to chat with you about that too offline. But I think sometimes, like, CRM systems used to be really, really well defined. Now there's just so many. There's products out there, like Marnie said, like the version of MailChimp that you didn't even realize was a CRM project, or you could use it in that way. So great to kind of make sure you're using things that talk to other things in your environment.
All right, more questions from others? We've got a little bit more time here.
Victoria, I know Brenda had a question on Facebook Marketplace, which was a really good question. I didn't mention that in my integration spiel, but so one of the tools that Facebook has is Facebook Marketplace, and maybe a lot of people are familiar with that from the standpoint of, I bought a bed frame or a couch or something from another individual using Facebook Marketplace, but there's actually a Facebook Marketplace commercial version, if you will. It integrates with the rest of Facebook Marketplace. So if you're on Facebook and you search for something today, you're actually going to get not only stuff that Bruce Nustad is selling, but you're going to get stuff that stores and B2B shops are selling as well. So there is a Facebook Marketplace for business opportunity there. And I think Brenda was talking about just kind of what are some of the caveats there. It's interesting. I consider that to be a fairly new tool, but I guess it's been around for a while, for business anyway. And what's interesting about it is, from my 14-year-old teenager up to my 80-year-old mother, there seems to be universal comfort with Facebook. And so I think we're going to see Facebook Marketplace even take off a little more than it is today. Now, the interesting thing about it, Brenda pointed out, it's actually, by most people's terms, it's sort of an expensive tool to use. It's not expensive to use to get started, but I think Facebook is still charging like 5% for the transaction and a minimum of something like 40 or 50 cents. So there is a cost to it. And then the other trick with kind of Facebook Marketplace for business, I think they're still doing it this way. You actually don't get paid on that until the item is delivered. So Facebook wants to make sure there's no hiccup between payment and delivery. So they make you deliver and then you get paid after that. So you're kind of waiting a little bit. So Facebook's kind of holding the money, waiting to ensure the transaction is all done. But again, I think we're going to see more and more Facebook Marketplace for business transactions. The other nice thing is, Marnie mentioned it, those types of tools sort of take care of the tax for you. But one quick flag on that, Facebook Marketplace, at least it used to, maybe it still does for business, it's going to run the tax, not at the local level. So there are some local option sales taxes. It's going to run the state tax. So you have to be kind of mindful of those types of things on those transactions as well.
All right. Well, it's been an amazing program. It's funny. I love seeing the examples, especially of the ones like with the coupons, because again, I mean, that is just something that always gets me. And even though the kids are like, "Oh, mom, I don't need a coupon to buy something," but I do. It just always, gets me. So, some of these tips and tricks that you've suggested, definitely I have been taken advantage of. So, but again, thank you, Marnie and Bruce, for being here today. This is it's been a fabulous program. Today's program was part of our Elevate Business HC webinar series, and we do have 3 more next week. So if you are interested in joining us for more of these wonderful programs, please do check out our website. Next week, we also have one of Minneapolis Chamber's biggest signature events called the annual Keystone Program. It's in its 44th year, and that's on Thursday. That program promotes corporate philanthropy by honoring and recognizing companies who donate at least 10% of their pre-tax earnings to charitable organizations. So it's going to be an amazing program. I can't wait. This will be my first year seeing it in action. So I am very excited for next Thursday, and I hope you'll be able to join us as well. But again, unless we have any other final departing questions here, I just want to thank everybody for joining us, and look forward to seeing you hopefully again next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Victoria, thanks for putting this together. Big thanks to you, the chamber there, and the county for putting together this whole program. It's really great and really, really appreciate it. Marnie, thanks for joining me today. I always appreciate your contributions. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.